It's a great day to talk hockey on HabsCast.
A great day indeed. Mr. Rick Springhetti, formerly with McKean's Hockey, then with Recruits, and now, you know what? I'm just giving you this official title now. Chief Amateur Scout for HabsCast. What do you think of that?
I am honored and privileged to get that wonderful title, Grant. Thank you very much. It's a wonderful surprise and just a great way to start the show for me.
Yeah, well, you got to get starting to look at those prospects now. Now that you
That's
got the
that.
title.
Yeah, I got to start putting in some work now, and that's the plan. In the next few weeks, there we're going to really get
Sure.
into it hard.
Oh, well, hey, November I find is when I start to really, rev it up,
Yeah.
and they usually have some top prospect games and stuff that start in
Mhm.
November, and you really start getting a feel. Uh, you know, everybody's back from training camps, and teams are starting to rev it up. And I like all the colleges going, of course, and all that, and um, some big games coming up. There's a lot of kids playing. A few draft eligibles, big ones, big names playing college hockey this year. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that.
Sure.
Verhoff and McKenna, of course, and it's going to be fun. Uh, I always like following the prospects, and I'll have to get out for a couple of games in BLB. The Villeneuve kids may not be very big, but Xavier Villeneuve, he's kind of like the French Canadian version of Lane Hudson there right now. The way
Oh
he's
yeah, and he's such a blast to watch too. So it's a joy to scout him, right?
yeah,
It's entertainment. Some players are really like good players, but maybe understated and playing on teams that are not fun. But the Armada are fun to watch and they're exciting to watch. So for sure, it'd be a win-win, if you will.
yeah. He It'll be curious. I'll be curious to see if there isn't I think they'll start calling it the Hudson factor when it comes to a player like him, right? Will,
Yeah,
you know, if he had come along 5 years ago, Quebec League defenseman that small, he wouldn't even go in the top two rounds probably.
I agree.
But now, seeing how Lane has said, "Hey, you don't have to be huge you just have to be really skilled and smart to excel at the NHL level." You know, it, I'll be very interested in getting feedback from NHL scouts and getting a feel for where he may ultimately go in the because I mean he's first round skill all day, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So maybe top 10. So will he go in the top 15? No. It'll be a an interesting point of discussion all year, I think.
Oh, he's at the same age. I think he's a quicker skater than Lane Hudson was at his age, right? Where Lane Hudson was
Yes.
a good skater, but Villeneuve has a bit more speed than Hudson has, and that's an extra plus for him. And he plays on a good team, so there's a lot of opportunities for him to show off his offense, and he's definitely taken advantage of that. So yeah, no, I agree 100% with everything you said, Grant. I think no matter what, sorry for people who don't like that we tend to agree a lot, but we do
I was
agree on
just gonna
that.
say, I'm glad the live chat's not going right now because they'd be just lighting up. Oh, there goes Rick agreeing with Grant again. No, it's going to be a fun year to
Yeah,
scout, and the Habs, you know, after the last game, doesn't look like they're going to be picking 32nd overall.
I
I
had
had a
everything planned out for a parade, man.
yeah,
Gosh.
yeah. They might be picking a little higher than that, but
Yeah.
uh, they weren't going to win every game after losing the first one. It's funny, like everybody. I've been doing a lot of live shows this week, and everyone in the live chat and stuff was saying, before the game, we did a Friday night um,
Mhm.
uh, Habs cast, and oh, you know, they should womp the Rangers. Rangers should be a push. Think back to just like 12 months ago. Even the thought of thinking that um,
Yeah.
The
For sure.
Rangers were the President Cup winners, or President's Trophy winners the year before. They got off to that great start last year, and everyone kind of was looking, might be cup winners. And
Mhm. All
fast
part.
forward 12 months, and the Habs. How can the Habs lose to the Rangers? So
Oh,
expectations have changed. It's fair to say with this club, and that's actually a
absolutely.
good thing. I
Yeah.
think that it means that they're better. It means the Canadiens, for the first time in uh, perhaps even decades, have you could argue have top 10 skill as far as when you compare them to teams in the NHL. They're
Mhm.
I don't think you can name 10 teams that have more talent than the Canadiens. So
Yeah.
they're expected to win more now, and they expect to win more now. So uh, that's a good thing.
Well, yeah, I agree. Again, I agree, but there's two things to consider too. Not only do they have like talent, but they have depth, more depth than a lot of teams have, right?
Right.
And they played yesterday versus the Rangers. By the way, uh, if people thought the Montreal were going to whip the Rangers, I know they might not have been paying very close attention to the Rangers. I know I'm not saying I watch a ton of them, but I did watch bits and pieces here and there, and they're playing better than they did at the end of last year. It's not the same team. No, they have a
Right.
new coach, and they're motivated more than ever. A new coach often will do that to a team, one that has the pedigree that Sullivan has. So you can't look at their record and say that they're not a very good team. They played better, and you saw that yesterday. They came back, two down on the road is good. I mean, you got to give the opponent credit too. Sometimes they play well,
Yeah.
and Rangers came back strong, going down in the game. But the Habs, lost a few players yesterday. We saw that they lost Doc and Liney and Goulet, and the truth of the matter is, besides maybe a 7 or 8 minute period in the third period, a 7 or 8 minute of issues where they made a lot of defensive mistakes. They lost their man in their own zone here and there. A few goals went in that maybe shouldn't have gone in. The Habs were playing very well generally. They were keeping up. They were doing well, and the loss of three of their players that are somewhat important to the team, two very important on the team, they handled it really well, all things considering, in my opinion, at least. One or two good saves by Montembeault in this game is very different. One or two goals that could have gone in. Demidov had a great opportunity right in the front in the second, and Caulfield had an excellent one in the third right in the front, and it didn't go in. So, you know, a loss can teach you things too. And I think this loss taught us that this team is not invincible. No team ever is. But they could withstand the loss of a few players and not lose too much in terms of how they're playing, which is very different than last year. One injury or two injuries, and this team was in the weeds. They were struggling, but this was not a game where they were awful or it was horrible to watch. Just a game with a few mistakes and a few shots that should have been saved. That's my point of view on the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the second period, I thought the tide turned to a certain degree. New York got a lot of chances. They didn't. A lot of pucks bounced over sticks. Like they almost had about 2 or 3 goals on tip ins by the crease that just for whatever reason bounced over the player's stick, or they could have Montreal was a little fortunate, I thought, in the second period, but then in the third they got those, they got that power play goal right at the start of the period, and that if Montreal would have been able to withstand that, I think, and
Yeah.
killed off that penalty, I think it may have been a different story, but it seemed to New York built momentum from that. They had a good forecheck, they were pretty strong in the forecheck in the game, and played a really good road game. So yeah,
Mhm.
they deserve a fair bit of credit. I don't think the Canadiens were terrible. Um, the defense is still playing pretty decent. I think maybe there were a few breakdowns on coverage with some forwards in the game, but the defense, all in all, I think withstood the loss of Gooley pretty well.
Yeah.
Um, I Struble, I thought, had another strong game. was nice to see him pick up an assist. Nice burst on that that kind of partial breakaway there, right?
Oh yeah.
I thought it was Anderson. I saw the 7 and the way he was freaking going, I thought, oh, that must
Yeah.
be Anderson. That must be Anderson going down. And it was then they said, oh, it's Struble. And then he got it over, but it was just a little too far. And it was Evans, right? Or Newhook?
Yes, it was Jake Evans that was coming in. Yes.
Okay. Well, that didn't help. um uh, Again, Marty, when the Canadiens are trailing late in the game, likes to put Evans out there. And if you're shortening the bench, I don't quite understand when you're behind why a player with 1 goal in his last 33 games, you can check it out, folks. That's what Jake Evans has, 1 goal in his last 33 games. What's he doing? Kapanen has 3 goals in 6 games.
Yeah.
And he sits on the bench. They had a power play, okay? And I think Marty's thinking as well, geez, Evans doesn't get to play for 2 minutes. He's got to go out there. He's my vet. But there was 5 minutes left in the game. It was the end of a power play, and they come out with Evans, Anderson, and Newhook. And Kapanen hadn't played, for 3 or 4 minutes. So you had a choice, right?
Yeah.
Either
Yeah, I
Kapanen or
agree.
Evans. And instead
I
of going
agree.
with the guy with 3 goals in 6 games, and who I think Kapanen had a really good game yesterday as
He
well.
was very solid.
Yeah.
I love that play. I believe in the second period, right? He takes that hard hit against the boards from Will Borgen to make that play,
Yeah.
and it leads to a big scoring opportunities. There was some local media that were saying that, Kapanen might be a bit soft and that doesn't. Well, sorry, folks. He took a hard hit and you knew he was going to get hit,
Yeah.
and he made it happen. And I think he put that to rest.
Couple of good
So I
tips
didn't
too.
understand. Sorry?
He had a couple of really good tips in front of the net. He was
Yeah, he did. He did some good opportunities. He played very
Yeah.
well on the penalty kills. So, and he continues to be really good. I always say, I think one of the parts of his game that I love the best is his game in the neutral zone. He just really
Yeah.
cuts down a lot of the breakouts, and he makes it difficult for opponents. And puck possession is everything, right? There's a bigger chance that you're going to score the puck when you got possession of it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Usually you score more when you have possession
Well,
of the puck. And he makes that happen. So I was a little. I keep thinking that it's a bit like last year, right? Where Lane Hudson had to play around 20 games or 15 to 20 games, and until Marty St. Louis said, you know what, I've given him. I've been patient. He's showing it over and over again, and I'm going to give him more opportunities. And I'm thinking it's the same thing with
yeah.
Kapanen. He's going to give him 15 to 20 games, and then he's. I think if he continues to play like he has. I think Kapanen's going to have more minutes, more
Oh, yeah.
important minutes for offensive games than he's having now.
Right. Although, I mean, like you're talking predominantly about putting Hudson on the first power play, I think. And I'm not asking that. I'm just asking with
No.
5 minutes or 3 minutes left in the game, don't put a guy out that's got 1 goal in 33 games over a guy that's got 3 goals in 6. You're trying to get a goal at that point. If the game's tied or they're ahead, absolutely, Jake Evans. I understand it. Even with it tied, I understand Evans being the guy that comes out right after the power play there. But 2 games in a row, the previous game too, 3 minutes left, Evans and Anderson are out there for a shift, and if he had more than 1 goal in his last 33 games, I'd understand. But right now, Jake Evans is not coming close to scoring a goal. And when you need a goal, please, Marty, I beg you, play somebody that can score a goal for you. You can't wait till the last shift and Caulfield pulling his magic he almost did again. Like I was saying to Blaine, if he'd have scored on that chance that he had last night, they'd already be putting a statue beside Believos there right now. They'd be getting it made of Cole,
What a blast.
I mean, it'd be half the size. It'd probably get, Believos would tower over him. But Anyway, hey, you know, you're allowed to be critical of the coaching every now and then. I realize that
No, right.
Marty's a great coach, and you know, he's done fantastic things with this team, and I by no means am an expert when it comes to coaching, but just you know, little things like that. Sometimes I just I question why, you know, the vets, and it's been this way with Montreal coaches forever. The vets get the, you know, it's always the vets that get the
Right.
trust, right?
Yep.
And yes, when you're tied or you're protecting the lead, by all means, the vets are what you want out there. But when you need a goal and you've got a guy that has 1 in 33, I just like leave him on the bench for you're shortening the bench. Go with offensive players, you know, at that point.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my one little beef I've got with Marty. Love you, Marty. You're the best, but I just that's my beef. We'll move on from that.
Yeah.
Strub, um, Jack Eye, they didn't, you know, I noticed Carrier had different partners at times. You know, Jack Eye got around 10 minutes of ice time. So I think what they're going to do is try to, you know, protect him a little bit when it comes to who he matches up against. Right now, the coach it doesn't fully trust Arbor. I don't think to play him every shift, but I thought he was, you know, he played okay last night. And at this point, though, it looks like Struble is going to get a bigger role, you know, until something changes, right?
I agree, and I think I think it's well deserved. I mean, Struble since last year has played better and better all the time. He could do more. His skating ability matches up better with what Marty wants to do, I think. And not that no, Jack has improved his skating. He looks a little more fluid in his movement, and he gets by better than last year. But Struble's a really strong skater, physically
Yes.
strong. Again, he
Yeah.
doesn't fight really that often, but he hits hard, and it's he's physically strong. And you said it before. He's a beast, kind of in terms of his strength and his body type. So I think it makes sense, and he has that chemistry with Lane Hudson that works out very well.
Yeah. Yeah. They were fairly solid again. Lane, uh, you know, I mean, he had games like that last year too, where, you know, a few hiccups here and there, maybe turnovers, trying to do a little too much. I'd rather he try to be doing too much than not doing anything at all, right? Because that's the
Yeah,
makeup of his game. He wants to he wants to be the difference maker out there, and you know, we gotta take the bad with the good, and there's a hell of a lot more good than bad with Lane Hudson,
yeah.
right?
I think what I really liked about Hudson too is he could be so unpredictable, and it keeps the opponent a bit honest, giving him a little bit more space. And what is in the third period when he got the puck out of his zone full speed, and he faked the famous drop pass, right? And he
Oh,
just decided to go down instead. I was like, yes, sir. You do that once a game only sometimes, and that just gives everybody a pause to say, let's not overplay him too much. And that'll just make Lane a lot more effective now because if he gets a bit of space, watch out. But if he does that once in a game, you're going to have to give him space.
I'm so glad that he breaks the rule that this new unwritten rule that you got to slingshot it back every time.
Yeah.
But why make it predictable? You know
Yeah.
what's going to happen. Like it's so predictable. That's the part of that I don't like. And Lane, you know, he doesn't do that. If you know, he'll fake that and then go forward, and it works so well because everyone's expecting you
Yeah.
know, everyone's
But
expecting, but no one else does that really,
yeah.
other than Lane. But every
Yeah.
time he does it, it works because they're expecting the pass back, the
Right on.
predictable, you know. And I'm glad that he's showing the NHL, hey, you know, no, you can actually carry the friggin' puck up the ice yourself still.
What a
Thank God.
concept.
Yeah, you know.
But One thing too, though, about the slingshot, and it's always been a bit of a pet peeve of mine. If you're going to do it all the time, could you not do it like 25, 30, 40 feet back like they do sometimes, where the puck is almost back at the goaltender? So now the opponent has all the time in the world to block the blue line, because that's really one of the reasons you do the slingshot, right? You want to get everybody stopping, and then you're coming in with speed, and you could find openings. But
Yeah,
they have so much time, it seems, to get into position that they just block the blue line, so the slingshot becomes ineffective.
yeah,
Shorten it up a little bit once in a while and catch people off guard that way, or at least don't give them enough time to get back into position. And then maybe you could have a decent break in. But
yeah.
yeah,
No.
the slingshot could be annoying.
Well, what I'm waiting for is where they slingshot it back, and then the skater goes back behind his net for another 10 seconds, and you know that'll be the next phase of
Yes,
it.
sir.
You know, but like you waste sometimes you waste 10 to 15 seconds of your power play time with this, thing that has to be done every time, right? Especially when you put it right back to your goal line, basically, and then yeah, and teams are they're prepared for it a lot more too, right?
Of
Like
course.
I'm surprised there haven't been more turnovers with it yet. And as soon as that starts happening a little more often, I think you'll see it less, and people will
Yeah.
come up with, you know, I like that the Canadiens started the year with two guys coming down, and it not just Nick carrying it, you know,
Yeah.
all the way to the blue line, then passing it to a stationary line A, and then line A losing the puck. Not doing that every time now. And I like that Caulfield comes with them, and they, or Demidov or whoever, and they kind of do a give and go. Um, I thought Kapanen would be on the second power play with Doc and Line gone. And what they did was they New Hook was on the first time with the second unit. They scored a goal, and the next time they were out, Kapanen was out and not New Hook. And you know, I found that funny. They finally scored their first goal, and we better change it up. We better, we be- we better have another guy in there. And actually, Kapanen had a shot in the slot there. He came
Yeah.
down close to scoring his fourth in 6 games there. With he's got a good shot in that spot, just a bit on the right, just a bit right of center, and he parks himself there and gets off a good shot. But I found it kind of funny that they did that. But then Suzuki, the change was that Suzuki played the 2 minutes like he did a lot at the end of last year too, right?
Mhm.
Um, I don't mind that so much with Suzuki. There was one penalty killing sequence where Evans, well, until they scored, New York scored, but Evans played the whole PK. They ran through, I don't know, 3 wingers with him. Like
Yeah.
started with Anderson, then New Hook, back to Anderson. Evans stayed out, and they scored.
Not a
Um,
good thing.
Again, that's not showing confidence in Kapanen, who is the other penalty killer, and who I think has been pretty solid on the penalty kill. But you know, little things like that tell me the Canadiens are going to shop for a second line center. You know that they don't think that Kapanen is ready to, especially if they want to contend. Um, you know that if they can't put him out, and they'll put out a guy with 1 goal in 33 games instead of him when you need a goal with 5 minutes left, and they'll put out one guy instead of him for the entire penalty kill. It's telling me that that they're going to try to get another center here between now and the trade deadline, even though I think Kapanen has looked very good.
Yeah. I agree with that too. And then again, I don't understand how a diminished Evans, because when you're on the penalty kill for 2 minutes, you're not doing much in the last 40 seconds. It's exhausting. You're moving, you're running, there's no breaks. There's no chance to catch your breath. And you're telling me that after a minute and 20 seconds. Like, you can't put Kapanen for the last 20 seconds just to end that penalty, or 40 seconds just to end that penalty. I don't know. I think that would have been a better option. Heck, I mean, he could have put, no, if you didn't want to put Kapanen, just put Gallagher even. I don't know. Like, just
Yeah,
put somebody out there that
Suzuki. I'm,
has
I'm
some energy.
surprised
Put Suzuki back in there, whatever.
they went
So
with
that's
three. They went with 3 units a lot last year, with Suzuki being one of the. They
yeah.
went with Dvorak, Evans, and Suzuki at times. 3 centers, right?
Yeah.
Even then, like, if they didn't want to put Kapanen out, why didn't Suzuki get out there for a shift? It was, again, that's another. Geez, I said I wasn't going to criticize Marty anymore, and there you go again. But anyway, that's fine. He's he's a big boy. he can handle it, and I can
Yeah.
guarantee you he's not listening. So
You should be.
anyway, what's that? He
You
should be.
should be
That's right.
listening. Come
That's
on,
right.
Marty.
Yeah. So let's have a look at
If
the
I
standings
may
here.
ask a question quickly, though,
Okay.
Grant, quickly, what do you think of Valeno's game? And I thought he did well. And if you agree, then what happened? What does that mean for the Habs roster, the lineup? Like, if he has to stay, who suffers for that?
The Italian Montrealer saying the Italian Montrealer played well. Really, eh?
Look, I think they
What
should
a
be picking him team captain at this point. He's Italian. He's got to be the team captain. But let's go on.
yeah. Glad I'm not doing this with both you and Tony Marinaro. Be I'd have no say. It'd be yes, Valeno for mayor.
Yeah,
Yeah, Valeno was okay, but I find that he dead ends himself in the offensive zone so often. He looks good till he's got to do something around the net, and then it's just, it gets lost. I don't find him overly creative in the offensive
no,
zone.
no.
Like, he skates, he competes, he skates, he gets things done in 2-3 zones, but in the offensive zone, plays die on his stick. Yeah, and there's another guy that could have gone out he played on the PK in preseason quite a bit, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But they never threw him out there either.
Yeah,
They had options. They had 3 center options that could have played part of that penalty kill, but Marty obviously loves Jake Evans, and Jake Evans is a smart player and all that stuff, and they re-signed him, so they love him. It's not just Marty; it's management as well. So, you know, um, I guess we just got to put up with it. But Valeno's the extra guy. I thought Beck actually played maybe even
yeah,
better than
that's
Valeno
true.
last night.
That's true.
He was really effective on the forecheck. That line looked okay.
Yeah.
Bolduc, interesting that he got put down, demoted to the fourth line, so to speak. But do you think, like, Demidov looked pretty good again? He's getting more and more confident with those moves in the offensive zone. We're starting to see the dangle that we saw last year in the KHL quite a bit. Obviously fans, and media starting to call for it too. But the big thing is get him on the first power play. Get him on the first power play. What are your thoughts on that? Do you agree? And if you do, who does he replace?
I've thought about that a lot yesterday evening while watching the game, and this morning too. And the issue is that there's no perfect solution. Like, I understand putting him on the first line will give a lot more creativity, and he creates so many opportunities that guys that shoot like Suzuki and Caulfield will have a field day with Demidov. And he's got his own shot that's really solid, but he creates so many opportunities on the ice, and that line could be lethal. The problem is, it's you got to get somebody too with size who could get to the pucks too in the corners, and because the
Yeah.
opponent's going to bang it into the boards all the time, and if nobody to go get it or nobody that could win that puck battle, it doesn't really matter. So Slav becomes really important in that role. You also don't want a situation where last year where you had one great line carrying the team and everything else under that doesn't really work much. And the problem if you make that change is there's not a ton of creativity after that first line, right? And that's not to
Mhm.
criticize the players that are there. They have their qualities, but not Slavkovsky can make some nice passes. I don't know if he's a pure playmaker that could, create a ton of opportunities. He does move the puck well and surprise his opponents. But
I'm talking about the first
Kapanen's
power play, not first line, the first power play.
the first power play. I don't know. I could see that, but also the problem is if everything goes great on the first power play, there's a big drop off in the second, and I think Marty does like that depth, right, where you could roll two lines that could put pressure, and he really likes rolling those four lines, two power play lines, and really just having wave after wave after wave because I think he understands hockey's a lot of a momentum thing, and one opportunity kind of carries over as the opponent starts struggling and chasing and you get that momentum going and the next line comes on and they built on that and I think he believes in that a lot. Um, I think at some point it's going to happen, but only if Montreal maybe acquire like a more established top six center that could be more creative and then maybe you'd have Kapanen on the third line with a good third line there, a very good third line. Maybe that might be something that could happen. I don't know. Like it goes
Yeah,
back and forth, and I'm not sure to be on that one, Grant. I go back and forth between both options, and I'm not sure even what I would do at this point.
yeah. Well, I'm talking specifically about moving Demidov to the first power play, and you know, I think it would be Bolduc that would have to, if they do move
Okay.
him up to the first power play, that Bolduc would go on to the second. But
Okay.
I don't think it hurts. Like Bolduc is effective on the power play, and
Yeah.
I think he'd be good. Like whether you demote Slav or Bolduc to the second power play, I don't know that the second power play would lose a hell of a lot because they can be effective on the power play too, right? So
Yeah.
um Bolduc with as a shooter, as a sniper in the bumper spot. I like that they kind of uh the with line A on the second power play with Demidov, you kind of have two options there. And in Caulfield and Bolduc, the sniper options, like you're not just, well, it has to go to line A or it has to go to Caulfield. You've got two options there. The, the opposition has to kind of cover two guys for the shot. And so that's why I like how it is now, as you were kind of explaining that, you want two effective power plays, not just
Right.
one, right? All your eggs in one basket, so to speak. So
Yeah.
uh, I think they're going to give them 10 games. And um, I mean, it's almost like people are saying, well, the difference in the game last night was like Demidov not being on the first power play, but they didn't get many power plays, uh, you
It's
know,
true.
especially late in the game when the refs put their whistles away in the third period. Didn't
Yeah.
They didn't want to call anything, but
And you don't have that situation last year where you didn't have as many options, so you have to put all your eggs on one basket and hope that first power play unit scores because on the in that sense Dobson becomes a bit of a game changer because he could very well quarterback that power play also. So now
right.
you got that double option, right? You don't have one only at the point. So that becomes also a bit of a game changer for me in assessing all this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, Line A, Bolduc, and Dobson all on the second power play gives you three good shooting options. I forgot about Dobson. I mean,
Yeah,
he's a good option on the shot too. Uh,
yeah,
I think you need Slav on the first. You need him to muck, to
Yeah,
screen the goalie on occasion. He keeps plays going a lot of times, getting the puck along the boards, protecting it, and getting it to
oh
other
yeah,
people. It's an underappreciated part of his game. If they gave third assists, Slav would get a lot of them. Because
yeah.
he's often keeping the play going and maybe not getting the primary or secondary assist, but
Yeah.
being in on the play and keeping it, keeping the puck in the offensive zone. So,
Kind of like
um,
that Caulfield goal versus Nashville, right? Against the boards. Slavkovsky winning that battle led to that goal a lot, and that's
right,
an example of what he does well.
yeah, exactly. Let's have a look at the standings here. Uh, Eastern Conference. She's pretty tight. Of course, we're only 5-6 games in for most. Detroit won again today, so
Yeah,
geez, I criticized. I didn't think they were a very good team. Montreal made them look mediocre, and they've turned it around ever since. 5 straight wins. Uh,
I was
um,
shocked that Detroit defense could keep up speed-wise with those Edmonton forwards.
yeah,
That's
I
the
know.
part that really surprised me today.
Yeah, I was watching that, and I got Larkin in the pool, so I was happy. I was happy today. 4 points, but uh, New Jersey looks like they're back in the mix, right?
Yeah,
Pittsburgh's playing a little better so far. Rangers are better than they certainly were at the end of last year. Bruins are playing better. So we could have a hell of you look at this, and Florida, Tampa aren't in if you were to have start the playoffs tomorrow, Florida and Tampa aren't in it. So
incredible.
it's pretty I think that the Atlantic Division is going to come down to the wire this year, and it's up for grabs. Even first place, you know, I think
Yeah,
it'll be a fun race this year.
oh yeah. So the Habs have to put as many points in the bank as they can now, because those points that you now are going to be just as important as later on in the year, because it's a heck of a division. Even a team like the Rangers, that again were not great last year, with a new coach, kind of changes things a lot, right?
Yeah,
It's the team is re-energized. It's a different feel. I don't know how good they are long term, but they've been impressive. Toronto's hard to predict. I mean, they're one injury short of the wheels falling off, just because I don't think they have very good depth.
mm,
If they make the playoffs, they could make some noise, because I think they're a team that's maybe suited for the playoffs a little better than they were in the past with some of their acquisitions, but that's a big if.
yeah.
I don't think Pittsburgh's going to last too long where they are now, but
I
New
hope not.
Jersey, Washington are two teams that maybe fly under the radar, but are really, really solid.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I don't know. I think a lot of Habs fans are hoping that the Penguins, you know, really falter. I,
Yeah.
for reasons we won't to get into, but I
No,
think
no.
you can connect the dots, right? Um,
There's
yeah,
87 pieces on those dot board, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd like to start seeing those Tim Horton commercials Dobson, with Dobson and Sid instead of
Yeah,
McKinnon and Sid.
so true.
It's got to be Maritimers, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
anyway, yeah, they Sid is gonna, you know, he doesn't ever want to lose, and he'll will the Penguins to about 10 victories himself this year. Just typical Sid. Um,
Mhm.
so let's set it up for tomorrow night. They're playing Buffalo.
Yes, sir.
A week ago, you'd have said, "Hey, no problem, they'll swamp them," but Buffalo looks like they've turned things around. They're on a 2-game winning streak and look pretty solid. Certainly popped 8 goals against the Sens there. Got the
Oh,
offense rolling. But
oh,
let's have a look here at their injury. Uh, Bryson, Danforth, Norris all out. Greenway, who's a pain in the ass, by the way. I hope he misses the game. Greenway and Luukkonen are questionable. So it's not just Montreal with injuries right now.
No,
The Sabres got some guys out. Boy, that Josh Norris kid, eh?
awful, just
How
awful.
unfortunate for him, eh?
I feel terrible. I mean, I wish it would end because it's not funny or it's not cute anymore. I know people mocked the Sabres for his acquisition, and I get it, but I just don't like to see that happen to anybody. It's just too many injuries for a guy, and
Yeah.
it's awful. And from all accounts, one of the most likable people who played on the Senators. I heard a lot of people from a lot of the players from the Senators. I mean, got together with him, and we're very happy to see him. So it's unfortunate. It really is.
Yeah. I don't know, but I'm presuming it's his shoulder again.
Hmm.
And it's happened. It's the second time it's happened on a face-off where he, just on a face-off. So I think,
Awful.
it might be just one of those chronic injuries that just is going to just plague his career, right? And
Uh,
how unfortunate is it for that young man and for the Buffalo Sabres too, right? You give up Dylan Cousins to acquire him, and it looks like you might have damaged goods there, right? Permanent. So, I feel bad for them, but kudos for them bouncing back from losing him and starting again with an 0-3 start. Hopefully Darlene's got his chin strap on tight there Monday night.
oh
What
God.
well, Marchand?
Hey,
The discipline came down today. I don't know if you $5,000 fine, so he'll be
he's gonna
making.
be he's gonna miss that chump change, right?
Yeah, he's gonna keep going to Tim Hortons with his teddy bear and not to Starbucks. He won't be able to afford to. He won't. He'll have to go to Tim Hortons with his teddy bear instead of Starbucks for a few months. But I think I don't know. Judging by the commercials, that's where he goes anyways, right? Is to
Yeah.
Tim Hortons.
I feel bad for I mean, it's 14 years of just failure after failure for Buffalo, and every year I kind of like their draft most of the time. I'm like, hey, they did pretty well. I like their players. And it never seems to come together for them. Like darn it, like why can't anything come together? And I think a lot of it last year and maybe the year before was a real lot of struggles on the right side of their decor. They put guys like Samuelson on the right side, and he was playing a ton of minutes, and he's a 7'6", 7 defenseman. Like that's and on the left side, please, not even on the right. And I think Dallin now is playing on the right side, which is unfortunate. But being a superstar that he is, he could get by. But that's why I thought the acquisition of Kesselring made sense because they desperately needed that. And you could see how they drafted right in the last few years. Murtika last year for this year, I mean, at the draft, and I think they picked up also. Big right-handed defenseman from Owen Sounds. Betkowski also was one of their draft picks. So I think they're trying to address this need a lot through their draft, and I think their second-round draft pick from Klepper, I think his name is, from last year, was another right-handed D, a big guy also. So I think they're trying to address it that way, and I think that was one of the major problem. I think the second one is it's a team that, because of their lack of success, has very little swagger. They almost look like the most polite team in hockey when you see them play, right? They're not going to make too much noise. They're not going to be too difficult, but kind of got to get a bit of swagger in there.
Yeah, I haven't been crazy about their drafting, honestly. Just because it seemed like they had to take a 5'10" or a 5'9" forward with their first pick every year. And
Yeah.
then, well, I hated the Samuelson pick. I would not have picked him in the first round. And, it's funny you bring him up, but they're certainly what they're trying to address is to replace the friggin' guy eventually, right? With all these
Right.
picks, with Mertka,
Right.
with Kleber, with the third guy you
Betkowski.
mentioned there. Yeah, and picking up Kesselring as well. So,
Yeah.
I think the writing's on the wall eventually for Samuelson.
Right. Yeah.
And then Savoy, they took too high, I think. I really, I thought that at the time and still think it. But then they keep doing it. They took Benson, they took Isaac Rosen, Noah Ostlund, and Hellenius. So it's just over and over again they taking guys under 5'11", even though I love Ostlund, of course, you know that, but
yes,
they keep taking small forwards, and like that just you can't have a team of small forwards. And then they trade away Dylan Cousins for a guy that was one face-off away from being out of the lineup for the year again.
Right.
I haven't been crazy about their management decisions, and
no, a lot of bad contracts given out to players that are not enough of a factor for the money they're making, and then it's a problem. And what I say I like the drafting is like you're right when you put it all together. That's a really good point. Individually I thought it was okay, but if you put them all together, yes, there's way too many of these small players. At one point, you got to make an organizational decision and say we got to get away from that, because we're not helping the players themselves all the time by picking everybody who's the same style. They can't compete against each other, and that doesn't help us.
Yeah.
Right.
Even Jack Quinn's not like he's undersized, like all of these forwards, Rosen's in the minors because they got too many small forwards. Well, why do they have too many small forwards? Because they keep picking them in the first round of the draft. Right.
Yeah, that's true.
So they traded away Savoy, to get a bigger, get McLeod, right?
He's been really good.
Yeah. So, I mean, they are assets, and if you deal a couple of them away, when you look at it in that respect, but, and even, Kulich?
Yeah,
like
Kulich.
He's not that big either. Like he's under average size, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they've drafted with top 35 picks. They've picked like 8 in the last 7 years in the top 35 that are all under the average NHL size. So,
true. And if you want to go further, even some of the guys they did pick, the big guys like Owen Powers and Samuelson, don't really bring much of a physical game when even though they are big, right? So they kind of go the big guys are not even bringing that.
And then the one big forward that they did take, Cousins, they traded away. So I'm not really sure of the plan there. It seems to be a bit scattered, and till they get a GM, I think that's competent. I don't know how competent this GM is. I think they're going to unfortunately continue to miss the playoffs. But having said all that, now watch them whomp Montreal.
They did actually pick up as an advisor the former Columbus GM and St. Louis scout Kakalainen.
Jarmo Kakalainen.
Yeah, so they that might be some help from them. That might be a good guy to have on your management team that could give them some good support.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what time of the show do you think it is there?
It starts by P and it ends by Rospect, so the prospect of the week.
Yeah. Well, let's bring them up. I went with Jared Davidson. Now, this is from the second last game, Rick.
Okay.
He had a goal and assist in this, and then I also have his goal from the last game. So 2 goals and assist his last two outings. But what I like here in this game, they reunited the rookie line from last year, the kid line of Beck, Machar, and Davidson. I loved that line at the start of last year. And then, of course, Machar got injured, and he never really recovered, but they look good. Oh, yeah. Didn't like that play.
No.
They looked really good in this game, and I love the speed.
Yeah.
Machar looks a little quicker, but watch the wheels on the one knock that Davidson sort of had and why he dropped in his draft year, even though like he was undrafted and right, he had gone through a draft. Look at Delgaizo on that play, eh? Delgaizo really caught my eye too, by the way. I think he's really good at the AHL level. They've got a dandy there. But as you can tell by these highlights, his speed and there'll be something a little later on, Rick, I'll where it really comes through, but his skating was the issue. That's why he dropped in his draft year. I really like the skating in this game. I think it's really come up. Oh, here's Machar. This was a nice and then boom.
Oh wow.
There's his goal.
Wow.
Davidson's got a great one-timer.
Yes.
And I think Davidson has a big year. Like he had a breakthrough last year, but I can see a 30-plus season from him. 30-plus goals. I really like the improvements he's made in his speed the last 2 years. Your thoughts on Davidson?
Well, one thing I always say is when you draft a guy, and especially a guy later in the draft, he's going to have shortcomings. Some of it he could control, some of it he can't. When a player improves, makes big improvements on things that he can control, that says a lot to me. That says a guy who's really dedicated, who's hungry to make it to the next level, who wants to be a factor. He's not passive in his approach, and he's not passive in his approach on how he plays the game, right? Having seen him just a few times in Laval, I like it. Look, he's not going to be a creative player, but he's very decisive in what he wants to do on the ice. There's little hesitation. He gets on the guy quick, or he gets to the puck quickly. And when it comes to his fighting ability, what I like about him is, he doesn't throw bombs. He's a scrapper. He's going to just get in there and like a dog on a bone, try to do his best to have the upper hand. It speaks a lot on his courage and his willingness to, again, be a factor and be a contributor to the team's success in any role that is asked of him. So that's the kind of thing I really like about Davidson. And I couldn't agree more about him having a big year. I think he's gained the trust of the coaching staff. Pascal Vincent must love the way he plays the game, knowing the way Pascal coaches. And I think because he's a bit older, I'm sure he's going to get more responsibilities and even more ice time than he did last year. So he's somebody to keep an eye on as a potential bottom line or extra forward for the Habs for the next few years.
Yeah, I don't know. Montreal. Look at the speed here. Like
wow.
he has really improved his
Yeah.
Look at that play. That was all him. Davidson just lights out on that play. Loved it. So that was his goal and assist. And like I say, that was really the only. I would question you saying that he's not really creative. Like certainly in junior, especially, he 50 to 60 assist man, and I mean he can make plays. It's not. I don't know. I don't think you're saying that he can't make plays. Just that I hear
saying,
what you're saying.
In the American Hockey League, it's not his style. He's playing more of a direct, up
Right.
and down the ring style.
But he's smart.
Part of it too was some of the players I think he was matched with. I think it was more effective under those conditions. Maybe
Gotcha.
there's parts of him at this level that I haven't seen yet. I don't know. Just saying what I saw him about.
No, I'm harkening back more to his junior career, where he was he was an all-purpose guy. Played center, did it all, made a lot of really smart plays. He can play make with some he's got some playmaking ability.
Right.
But yeah, so far in the AHL, I think he's been more of a goal scorer than a. And there was his goal in the last game. He's got a great shot.
He does.
But
he does.
He's one of the. I find one of the unheralded prospects in the system. That people like Jackeye, Florian Jackeye gets more because he's bigger. I don't know that he's any better a fighter than Davidson. You know, he's bigger, but Davidson can really go. He
Yeah.
really can. And you know, he's beat up some bigger guys in his career, tough as nails. So he's got a great shot. He's got NHL shot. I think he now has NHL speed, like as we've seen in you know a few of those highlights. Certainly at the AHL level, he's now above average as a skater. Um, you know, NHL shot, NHL speed, definitely NHL competitiveness, grit, and he's a smart player. So I he's not that old either. I think what is he 23? You know,
22, 23 in that area.
22,
I can't
might
be
be
sure 100%
one
to
or
be
the other.
honest, but yeah,
So you know, um, like when you look at the depth chart on the for the Habs right now, who's closest to making, like Beck and Florian are, I guess, are ahead of him, but I think he's next in line right now as far as you know.
oh, for
He's
sure.
jumped
Oh
ahead
yeah,
of he's jumped ahead of Joshua Roy for me
oh yeah,
as
oh yeah.
as, as a potential player to make the Habs because I think there's more in the future here. The next couple of years, there's more of a chance of making it as a bottom six guy, I think, than in the top six with the Canadiens, and that's what Davidson brings more elements than Roy does for to play a bottom six role in the NHL.
Yeah, especially and he seems to have the quality you want on a player to have in the playoffs, right? That
Yeah,
heart and soul, that grit, that wanting to be a factor, that wanting to get an opponent's face and take the game to them, and not kind of laid back or wait for the play to happen. He doesn't do that. So in that sense, if you want to be a playoff team, then if you want to be a team that makes noise in the playoffs, yeah, Davidson is really up there. He's got all the qualities you want.
yeah. Well, that's my prospect of the week.
Great choice.
Uh, you know, nobody really had a fabulous week, so you know it's a week where a guy that you don't maybe expect it, but you know he's scoring goals again. I think he's a 30 goal plus guy in the AHL this year. And when you combine all of his qualities together, there's a he's a half decent NHL prospect, whether it's with the Canadiens or with another team. We'll see. The Canadiens are getting pretty have a lot of depth, as you mentioned. So it may well be with another team, but I think I like his NHL potential. You know, be it with the Canadiens or maybe somewhere else down the road.
That's just fantastic, Grant. And again, hopefully I'm not stealing your thunder when I say this, but this is the kind of great content that you've come out with for all our listeners and all our members of our YouTube page and all our members of our Patreon. You're finding these kind of hidden gems, or these, I would say hidden gems, but I'd say guys that are flying under the radar, and you bring them to light. And if you're a Habs fan, that's the kind of stuff that, Grant McCagg has the experience and the knowledge to bring you folks, and he does it in a very entertaining way. So again, please sign up to our stuff. Grant, go through it. And let them know how they could be part of our little community here.
Well, I was going to say, well, I'm signing off right now. You know, after you saying that, but no, thanks, Rick. Yeah, you know, you're not just saying that because you know, you're the chief amateur scout at HabsCast now. I hope, but no, he, well, you know, Patreon page is HabsCast. Just type in HabsCast in your Google search, and you'll see our Patreon page where you can become a member. I'm going to have up scouting videos all year for members that are Patreon uh, of our Patreon HabsCast, but also that takes you to the YouTube channel. Obviously, you know, you're probably watching this on YouTube, but you might be listening on Spotify. I put them up there as well. So anyway, like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Every bit helps, and we really appreciate the support we've got. It's been growing. Our live shows have been doing great. They're on X, and geez, getting 1,000 plus every time we put them up. Had 3,000 for the after the Nashville game. everybody was
Incredible.
pretty excited. So, it's growing and it's fun, and we like you being part of the. Let's grow a fun Habs community that focuses on prospects to a large degree, and I'll be getting help from Rick in that regard.
Awesome, Grant. Thanks again. It's awesome. Friends, you know what to do. It's worth your while.
Okay, Rick. Appreciate it. We'll see you next Sunday.
Absolutely. I can't wait.
Okay, well, let's. I don't know if you'll be available for a live show after a game
Oh, yeah.
during the week, but I'll certainly be inviting you, and if you
Thank you.
can come on, after a game or two,
Awesome.
next Saturday or whatever, you're more than welcome. So
Thank
thanks
you.
again, Rick, and we'll see you soon. Thanks,
Sure.
everybody. Have a good day.